Hello, lovely people. How are you? Welcome to Happiness How with Winko Chow. And before I begin, let me check with you. Are you all observing the protocol and taking good care of yourself, friends, families, and humanity on the whole? Yes, do that. That is the order of the day. So, once again, I'm back with you with yet another episode of How the Happiness How with Winko Chow. And today is a special episode. Special in many ways and special for many reasons. Well, the first speciality is that we're going to be talking about the happiness, the challenges, the aspects of negativity in the hospital corridors, and what generally is the take of a professional doctor there. Well, we are also going to touch upon the aspects of the challenges, and especially in these times when the entire medical fraternity is, come together to fight the long drawn battle and are busy saving lives of millions. And so, our salute to all these millions of COVID warriors across the globe. This episode is also special because I have a special guest tonight with me, a young doctor who believes in simple living and, yes, is also a firm believer of the resilient ways of living. So we will hear more from her. But yes, let me remind you here that the show is all about those professionals who are facing challenges in their workplaces due to various issues. It could be negativity, it could be work pressures, it could be the high life of the big cities and high pressure jobs. So, with all that in my mind, and much further ado, let us welcome on the show Dr. Niketa from Mumbai, India. How are you, Niketa?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me over. And that's quite an introduction. But thank you so much. And how are you doing?
Oh, yes, yes. All, like somebody asked me, so I said I dress up for you. So you should be feeling good. So yes, before we move any further, what I would like to do is read out something to you.
Okay.
All right, and
All
how it
right.
goes is walking amidst nature, surrounded by its beauty, reflecting the beauty within you, gentle breeze caressing your skin, making you feel loved and cherished, sweet smell of the air, filling you up, taking you to a state of trance. As you walk and feel the earth beneath and the open sky up above, transferring an unseen energy, energizing and awakening every cell from within, speaking unspoken words to you that only silence can understand, making you feel closer to you, closer than you've ever been to your own self. It's like the whole universe is residing right within you. You are the source of indefinite energy, the source of love, happiness, peace, joy, and much more, making you see you for you who truly are. Lovely words.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's
Well,
been ages
for
since
our
I.
viewers and listeners, this is something I could, doing my research, gotten on the internet, and I said, okay, why not begin and ask Nikita uh, the very first question, that is, besides being doctor, you also seem to be a philosopher. So how
Oh
do
my
you
God.
describe yourself?
Oh my God. See, that's one question I've always had difficulty answering. I think it's so much easier to talk on various things, but when it comes to talking about yourself, I think that's the tough one. But I don't know about philosopher, but it's something when it's something what I feel. It's something that I truly feel, and that's when I'll say it out loud. I'm more like, you can say, if you have to describe me, I would use the word passion. I've
Wow.
always been driven. Yeah, I've always been driven by passion. I am a firm believer of follow your heart. And
Great.
though there are times, like, sometimes I'll be like, yeah, even though I followed my heart, I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I don't like this. But the thing is, I think the one word I would use for me is passion, a very passionate human being. And philosopher, I don't know. I do get that a lot, but
Mhm.
I don't know about the philosophy part. But it's like I said, it's just that it's what I experience, it's what I observe, it's what I understand, and
Mhm.
that's about it. So, and that's my outlook, my perspective on things.
Wow. So, with that perspective in mind, and you being a simple girl who loves to laugh and tries to enjoy simple things in life, so tell me, in these times, very anxious times, when people, think twice before stepping out of their homes, and while I acknowledge all the bravery and courage that the COVID warriors are doing and performing there, was it a difficult decision? Was there some element of some fear, some dilemma somewhere lurking in the corner of my mind?
Of course, absolutely. So when all this suddenly hit, and like the first question, like when I got the notice from the municipal uh, corporation saying that
Hmm.
you have to come and work in so and so the dedicated COVID hospital. I remember breaking the news to my parents that, hey, listen, I've been called and I got to go. And I think first, more than me, it was about them, and the look on their face was like they were scared. They were like, my daughter out there, like, no, no, no. Like, I know the initial reaction was like, no, like, and I was like, hey, look, this is what I've chosen. It's what I love doing. While every profession has its own risks, and this comes with my profession, and you have to deal with it. Like, I can't say no. I took an oath. And I was very clear in my head. I am going, I'm going to do it. So I'm like, I'm informing y'all, like, I'm going, and we'll take the precautions as needed. And then I just told my parents one thing: what if I was in the army and if I was called for a war? Would you say no to me that time? And they had no words. And I think that was the time where I saw absolute respect in their eye. And, though, of course, as parents, there's always that fear, like, I just want my child to be all right. And for me, at the back of the head, where I was all prepared, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go, and I'm, going to do this, give my best, because it's a disease, like we all know, as in the medical fraternity, we are learning with each case that comes in. It's not that something we have already learned, we knew what to do. It's taken us also a complete surprise. And
Hmm.
each day there are new challenges coming up, and like, we're also trying to learn and give our best. But the main fear, not fear, but the thing that was lurking in the back of my head is like, just stay fit, be healthy, give your best, and it should not come to my parents, because this is well, like, it's a war. Like they are saying, we don't see our enemy out here. We don't know what we are dealing. We just know the name, but we can't see it. And I think it's like, you're in this case particularly, you're taking your family with you. So that's one
Hmm.
fear that's always there, that like, okay, you might still escape it. I don't know, might
Hmm.
escape it, but the main thing is you don't want it going to, in my case, my parents. So for me, that was like a big thing in my head, that whatever I do, so maybe I was a little bit more, when it came to the precautions, a little bit extra, like, but I think that was the whole thing for me, like, just make sure it doesn't go to my
Hmm.
mom and dad, like, just make sure that I'm healthy and it shouldn't go to them. That's it. Like, the clear demarcation was like, stay away from me. We'll talk, keep distance. But yeah, that was one thing that was constantly in my head. Until date it is. So yeah,
So,
that was.
what I hear here is, one resilient girl who's got a strong resolve and who's committed by the oath that she's taken. And I am sure that must be for the entire community there, entire
Yeah.
fraternity. And while all that is there, there is that, soft heart, which is all that caring and uh, maybe especially a girl's heart, which always beats for the parents. So, Now I come to my normal question. That is, we are talking of these challenges, and we'll certainly talk about it a little more. And rest assured that our all prayers and all our energies are with you all, so it'll all be good. So in the normal times, how's the environment in the hospital corridor, in the hospitals, and how maybe tough or challenging, and is there that competition, that those elements of envy and all other aspects which are usually there in the offices, and as a youngster one has to brave them. So how did you find them, and if at all, yes, how did you counter them?
So the one thing I think, just like these are basic human emotions, the envy, the competition, the jealousy, that's, I think you're going to find it everywhere. It's not just, I think, based,
Hmm.
it's not just with one profession. I
Hmm.
think this is just overall, that's
Hmm.
how I just think human beings are. In some it's more, in some it's less.
Hmm.
It's just that way. As far as my profession goes, yes, it's very stressful because, of course, at the end of the day, you're dealing with human lives,
Hmm.
and so it's that scare is always there. The stresses are very high because if you go wrong somewhere, it's going to impact the person's life. It's not like, it's an
Hmm.
engine, it's gone wrong and it's okay, we can fix it. Like, it's not like you can't fix what goes wrong, but then still it's a human life that gets impacted, with every decision you make or what you're doing. So by and large, it's just very stressful. And negativity, yes, I think for me negativity is just that because the stresses are so much, so high, it's like it's just the way people keep transferring it onto others. Like, like it's just like something basic, like you, someone be just very rude, and
Hmm.
it's not like they might mean it or intend it, but it's just that they are having their own stresses to deal with. So it's like,
Hmm.
transferred onto the other person. And sometimes it gets to you and then you're like, hey, even I'm stressed out, like, even I'm overworked. You can just be nice. I
Hmm.
do face that a lot, and I try to make sure no matter what the stresses are, I try to, always be nice, talk nicely, because sometimes I just believe kind words can make a difference, or just a
Hmm.
smile can make a difference. But
Oh.
when I do, yeah, it does. I really feel that because it doesn't take much to just give a smile or just be like, it's okay, I understand. Well, I'm
Hmm.
not saying I do sometimes when I do lose my cool, but then I just try to rein in my temper at that moment and be like, hey, wait, we're all stressed out. So, I'll be like, okay, let's, like, take a step back, wait for a
Hmm.
few minutes, and then I'll say what I have to say. But when I get it to, like, if someone has to do that to me,
Hmm.
I keep quiet once, twice, then I'm like, hey, you can say the same thing nicely. Let's just be nice to each other. We're already in a profession which is highly, highly stressful. So let's not stress each other out more. So for me, negativity is more in those terms. As far
Hmm.
as competition, yes, it's there.
Hmm.
There's no escaping that. Well, I truly don't believe, like, I don't go competing with people. For me, it's more like how I can give my best each day. But yes, that doesn't mean I don't come across people who are trying to compete with me. And in general, everything is a competition at the end of the day.
Hmm.
But I try not to get that onto me. I just try to focus on me at that point, because
Hmm.
I feel like this is about me. I need to get
Hmm.
better than what I was yesterday, or what I was an
Hmm.
hour ago, what I can learn and do better. If I'm trying to compete with someone else, automatically I'm trying to somehow put my goals in theirs. Like, it's somewhere I don't find that,
Hmm.
like, I am me, I'm an individual with, and I have my own strengths and weaknesses. So I got to focus on that, hone my strengths and work on my weaknesses. So I don't tend to really look into what other people are doing and how to compete with them. While, and if someone is doing that with me, and you do get that, the vibes. I'm someone who picks on vibes a lot. Like, I just
Hmm.
keep it, to, I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. But I think those kind of things I just try to, like, ignore as much as possible. I'm actually the kind who just lives in her own world, happy in my own world. I'll do my work and I'll go out. I mean, when it's like, and I'll try to spread as much as positivity as possible, happiness, and then I'm like, okay, fine, bye, my work is done over here. But yeah, I think I try to just keep to myself, more or less.
All right. So if I have to sum that in few points, so one is that yes, keep that smile on your face, look inwards, and try to spread positivity despite all this. Try and understand the situation, and diffuse it rather than
Yeah.
take it further. And these are little heavier. If somebody has to ask you that, what are the other ways, simple ways, that somebody can diffuse or bring that stress level or the pressures down. And some young doctor who's listening to this and maybe watching it tomorrow, so what would they want to learn? Are there very simple, small tidbits that you would like to share that you do? Maybe
So
listen to
sometimes,
music, or I mean, I
oh
don't
yeah,
know
absolutely.
what you do. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, in that moment, so of course I can't. I love music. So at the end of the day, when like things have like I've had a, let's say, a extremely stressful day, there are a couple of things I really like doing. One is talking to my mom. Okay, trust me,
All
she's
right.
the biggest stress buster I have. Like anything, I just need to go and talk to her. I just need to sit with her, and I'll be like, "Hey, mom," I like just go yap 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 yap, and she just be like listening, listening. So for me,
All right.
that's like a very big stress because she's a ball of positive energy. So it's
Wow.
like somehow I feel I try to like, kind of suck that in and take a little bit more towards me. But she's a ball of positive energy. So that's one of my stress busters. And touch wood, I'm honestly blessed with really some fabulous friends. I'm not someone who has a large group of friends. I
All
am
right.
very careful, who I
Mm,
introduce in my life and who I keep
mm,
close to me.
all right.
So I'm blessed with some fabulous friends and sharing with them, like, hey, what happened, like, today this happened or whatever, like just sharing, like, letting my heart out. While at the same time, I'm not much of a sharer, so then I'll
Mm,
write. That's where writing comes
okay.
in, and you read one of my poems out
All right.
earlier. So yes, writing for me is more like it just gives me peace. Like
Uh-huh.
sometimes it will be in the form of a poem, sometimes it will just be like a personal diary I maintain. And, I just let my heart out in the diary.
Okay.
Other thing is I love to read. So my
Hmm.
novels are always my escape, you know. So I'm like, okay, a novel is always ready. I'll just pick it up and just get lost in that world, like, and I'm like just cut off. Or then, like you said, music. But I think apart from all this, when you're right in the middle of the whole thing, when there's a
Hmm.
lot of stress coming on to you and when you're dealing with that kind of negative energy, I think what I like to do is at that moment, like, first thing is I try to, it's not easy to cut off. Sometimes I am emotional as a person. So, of course,
Hmm.
it's kind of, when someone yells at you or says some unkind, harsh words,
Hmm.
while I do believe in standing up for myself, which I do at
Hmm.
that moment, but it's that, how to not let that constantly, because then that throughout the day, you're just like kind of hanging on to it. Oh, that person said this and all. So what I try to do is like just take a step back, take a deep breath, and just
Hmm.
count numbers. I really count numbers. It's
Okay.
very, it sounds stupid, I know, but trust me, it helps me. I
Hmm.
instantly, like, if my emotions are here, it starts coming down, 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 down. So, like, I just start counting numbers one, two,
Hmm.
three, four, like, till the point I don't feel like, okay, I'm fine, I'm good. And then I will go ahead and get going with whatever work is there. Or when I'm doing that, sometimes I just take a break, go take a sip of water, just take a deep
Hmm.
breath in. I just remember the
Hmm.
Almighty. Again, take some numbers, just start counting numbers, and then I'm like, okay, I try to diffuse my emotions that way, and then get back.
Great.
So these are just some of the things I do.
Excellent. The essence that comes out here is, one is sharing. You could share it with friends. So all those listening to us and watching this, do remember that, do have that coterie of people who you can share your things with, and open your heart sometimes and draw some energy from there. And all those moms must be really proud today when they listen to this, that yes, you are all our source of that energy. And like Nikita said, counting numbers, and believe me, it is not stupid. No idea is ever stupid, otherwise we wouldn't be this advanced. So, and this is very effective, very effective. So it, and sipping water, it generally you being a doctor would know, gives you little more oxygen intake. So, you know, so yes, excellent. Now, while that is the environment, let's go back in your life slightly, and let's see how it was growing up. And while growing up, were there moments of some challenges, or some difficulties which came your way? And when that happened, what was your coping mechanism? How did you overcome that? Or it was all honky dory?
Wow, I so wish life was all hunky dory, but no, I did face I still do face my fair of challenges.
Hmm.
Growing up was hunky dory, yes, I would say that. I think I was very blessed to have a beautiful childhood, wonderful college days. uh, Even my med school days was like really good. Like, I mean, fine, you had this, like I said, the competition and, the fair share of whatever, the negative energy that you deal with. But I think for me, the biggest challenge, or rather the life altering moment that came in
Hmm.
my life was in end of 2015. You could say
Hmm.
almost early 2016 till
Okay.
2018, where I was all busy preparing for my
Hmm.
entrance exam because I'm planning to go to the US to do my
Okay.
post graduation.
Hmm.
Um, Young doctor, filled with energy,
Hmm.
I mean, all set, getting down with exams. Like, I had like everything because I'm very goal oriented and I've
Okay.
always known what I have wanted in my life. So it was all
Hmm.
very set and planned in my head, okay,
Hmm.
so and so I'll finish this by this time, this by this time. So it was all very set. And suddenly, out of nowhere, didn't see this coming, I get a health issue. It so
Hmm.
happens I was facing backache, and I thought, okay, it must just be a muscle spasm. And I was into workouts, and also I was like,
Hmm.
okay, it must be, I must have pulled a muscle or something.
Hmm.
Just happens one day, I'm just lying down taking a break after long hours of study. I needed some
Hmm.
break, so I was like, okay, let me just lie down, listen to some music. And then I was like, okay, time's up. Need to get back to books. And when
Hmm.
I get up, like there's a sharp shooting pain. And I was like, oh, this doesn't seem right. Like, this is a different pain.
Hmm.
And I couldn't sit up after that. And I
Hmm.
knew instantly something is grossly gone wrong. I mean, one of the things they say ignorance is bliss. At that moment, I really would have loved to be ignorant, but given my profession and I just knew what's happening, it wasn't helping with, I started getting anxious and I was like, oh God, like, so happened I was diagnosed with disc herniation. But then the doctors were like, don't worry, you'll be fine soon, you're a young girl, we don't need to
Hmm.
operate on you. So that was a relief. I was like, okay, I don't need to be operated. Like, that was my biggest worry. But the recovery took longer than anticipated. And you see, my entire life at that moment came to a standstill. 3 years,
Hmm.
where I thought it would be done in like 6 months max, like, but 3 years. And I think that was a time where I was dealing with a lot of things more emotionally, because it
Hmm.
was not easy when you see your colleagues, your friends, everyone going ahead in life, and you're just trying to barely just sit up, and you're like begging at God that time, just let me sit, and to deal with that pain, you're constantly, you get up in the morning till night, you're just in pain. And to deal with that pain, and then the emotional turmoil that builds up in you, and then you're looking and you're like, oh God, I have a life plan ahead of me, and nothing is going as per plan. So
Hmm.
at one point, it was like, I didn't know, I broke down, I cried in front of my parents, and I was like, I don't know what more to do, I'm doing everything, and I was like howling out there. And as parents, they were like, so warm and just like listening to me and just let me be. And then there came a moment in my life, I was like, okay, this is it, I have to face it.
Hmm.
My dad actually interestingly just told me one thing, because um, he just told me one thing. He was like, see, Nico, he was like, I don't know why this is happening, but whatever happens, just take responsibility.
Hmm.
And I was like, what do you mean by responsibility? Did I choose? He was like, no, I didn't mean that. But he's like, whatever happens in life, take responsibility, you know? And he was like, from there, you'll find your way. I didn't understand it back then. And I was like, I don't know, he's not going to understand. I'm the one in pain and all that. But then there came a point, I was tired of whining. I was tired of like crying and like, just the why me, you know?
Hmm.
I was like, this has to stop. Now this is me. It's happened. Why it happened and all, I don't care. I need to get out of this, you know. And more than all the medical therapies and everything going on, the medical management, I realized it was a battle inside. Because I was like, no amount of medicine is going to help if I'm not going to be able to pull myself out of it. And then one day I just woke up and I was like, okay, break. I was like, what's going to happen? I was like, break, emotionally break to the point that you want to break. And I just imagined myself as a mirror. And I was just imagining the mirror shattering, like shattering to the point there's nothing left to shatter. And I just felt empty, like so empty that there weren't any emotions at that point. It just felt light. And then from there, I just imagined that there was like a ball of white light encircling me and trying to rebuild that mirror back again, you know.
Wow.
And I think that moment gave me strength. And I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to fight this. I'm not going to give up. I was like, okay, it's taking time. I don't know what's written next. And I was like, to hell with my plans, man. I think that was creating a lot of anxiety. I was like, yes, I knew what I wanted. I don't know. Fine, no problem. I was like, at this moment, I just wanted my health. I didn't want career. I didn't want anything. I was like, at that moment, I realized that if you don't have health by your side, nothing makes sense. Yeah. And another thing, I was like, I come from a profession where I have seen what it means, you know, what health means, good health means. The fact that you're just breathing right now, I think that makes a big difference. Like, you should be happy about that. So I was like, I want to just live because I don't know if I'll even see tomorrow's sunrise, you know. So life is the most unpredictable thing we have. And I was like, okay, let's take each moment as it comes. Forget even taking each day. What can I do now? And I'm not too much into reading or, you know, those self-help books or anything, but sometimes if I would come across any article or any struggles of people, I used to read that because it kind of inspires you. I was like, okay, and I always try to see what's it that I could imbibe. And, you know, kind of what is it, how could I inculcate that in my life or in my own way? Like, you know, those kind of things helped. And actually, that's where my writing came in. That was the
All
period
right.
where I started discovering my love for writing. And I just let things go. And then that, I think the whole thing of taking each day as it comes, it does matter. Like, we are so focused on like, and I think a lot of this happens because even in interview, the first thing is like, oh, where do you see yourself 5 years? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, leave alone 5 years down the line. So, you know, we're so trained to look at ourselves, oh, I'll be here 1 year down the line. Oh, I'll be here 10 years down the line. And we're so much in that rut that we forget to live in the moment. We forget that there is no past and there is no future. It's all now. We forget the now because we're so busy either hurting about the past or looking forward for the future that we forget to live. And we're like, we're living and breathing right now. And I've just forgotten, like, you know, what to do now. So I think I started discovering that. And I'm still discovering, honestly. It's not like there are times I'm still, even right now, I'm like, oh God, like, you know, what's going to happen next? I don't know. My career, my this, my that. And that's when I have to remind myself, slow down. It's okay. It'll be fine. You'll figure it out. So
Ex-
I'm still learning, honestly. But this is some of the things I have learned is to, like, you know, it's very important to just take that step back and just be and stop thinking about what this, what that, what will happen if this doesn't happen, and just be like, okay, what can I do now? It's all about that, I think.
You know, uh, listening to you, I'm delighted actually.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. So while we do, keep talking of millennials, this, and while I know, I keep saying technically, millennials are the most advanced, genetically evolved generation, genetically, environmentally, and listening to you. Oh, I don't know, but that's what I said. The only word that comes to my mind is delighted. So, so let me ask you now. You did say so. Now, do you understand what is take responsibility?
Yes.
All
So
right.
I do. In fact, now, honestly, since you brought that topic up, now whatever happens in my life, I'm like, I'm not going to pin it on anyone. I take response, even, and that brings me even to my workplace now.
All
So
right.
I take responsibility, you know. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be like, oh, he said, she said, whatever. I was like, okay, if this has gone wrong, what could I have done differently? So yeah, my dad words keeps. I think that's one of the best lessons he has, of the many lessons that he keeps teaching me through his living. Like he's not someone who will tell me what I should do, what I shouldn't do, or gives me advices. He's not the advice type. But ever so often, he will just tell me in a very sweet way certain things, and I think this is one thing that's really impacted me in a big way. And whatever happens now, I'm like, okay, take responsibility. This has been your decision. Okay, if it's gone wrong, how could I have done it differently? And if it's gone right, yay, hooray, you know, great, enjoy it. So yeah.
Excellent. So all our listeners and viewers, uh, you've got an excellent lesson there. So take responsibility, and there is the whatever is happening for some reason, and like Nikita says, take it in a stride, live in the moment. Past is gone, future is yet to come. So think it over. I leave it to you. And so that also brings me, you made a small mention there. Be happy, living the moment, and just be thankful that we are breathing. Then that, relates to what we're talking about. It's all about that breath, that is, that may go wrong or that one needs. So very importantly. So while facing this challenge or going out and working, you have any moments where you've seen that challenge and that moment where you've seen that delight on somebody's face when he or she has realized or they have realized that wow, they've gotten their breath back. How has it been?
Um, yeah, I do see that. And I think it's just that it's how much at that moment, I mean, wait, before that, it's like I always say this, I'm in a profession where we see human emotion in the rawest form, the most
Hmm.
raw form. It's not,
Hmm.
there's no mask at that moment. A person
Hmm.
is his absolute self. So yes, like, I have seen that delight when people
Hmm.
like, oh, I can go back home, I'm feeling
Hmm.
fine. And just the fact that they're so thankful to you at that moment. And that's when you realize that, yeah, this is why I chose this profession, just
Hmm.
to do my bit,
Hmm.
um, in whatever way I can help.
Hmm.
And I think that's very satisfying at that moment. You
Hmm.
feel very satisfied, and then you see the other end. Like it so happened, like, sometimes I'm seeing one bed where a person is literally fighting for his breath, and on the
Hmm.
other you see that someone has just come out of it. And
Hmm.
so when you see that too, so I live in a world where it's just like every second is so important, because where 1 second someone might just go from somewhere very critical and just start coming reviving back. On the other hand, you'll see someone was fine sometime back, and 1 hour later you turn and he's crashing, and you're like, oh god, I just saw this patient 1 hour back, he was doing good, like what
Hmm.
just went wrong. So yeah, and when from there they come out, and
Hmm.
just to see the family, like the tears of joy that, okay, he or she survived, and
Hmm.
the family thanking you, just thankful about the whole thing. I think it just makes
Hmm.
me realize that we take life for granted.
Hmm.
When we are breathing, we take a simple thing as breathing, because it's so passive, right? It's not in our conscious. We're
Hmm.
breathing, it's a part of us, we are breathing. And like,
Hmm.
but when you start struggling for that breath, when you're like,
Hmm.
just gasping for air, that's when you
Hmm.
realize that, oh god, what have I taken for granted? And that's the moment you're like you're begging at your doctor, you're begging at god, you're begging at everything around you, whatever you can beg at, like, I just want to breathe. And that's something that's been very a big lesson for me, like, and I in fact, just a couple of days back, it so
Hmm.
happened that I saw a young guy, 26-year-old.
Hmm.
He's struggling for his life right now. I won't get into
Hmm.
the details of what happened to him,
Hmm.
but I remember taking him for CT scan, and I saw his mother, and she was calling out to him, very like very with a lot of love, and
Hmm.
he obviously wasn't responding. He was intubated and stuff.
Hmm.
And at that moment, I was like, you were so stressed out just a couple of months back to get into residency, your post graduation. I was like, what is this guy going to do? His entire life has come to a standstill. He doesn't even know if he's going to make it. I mean, leave alone going back to work. Here was a healthy young guy going, working, and now suddenly he doesn't even, his family doesn't know, leave alone him, like, and nobody knows if he's going to come out of it. And for me at that moment, I was like, what are you complaining about? Stop stressing, stop stressing about the future. Again, just live. You're on your feet. There was just 3 years back, you couldn't even sit up, leave alone, like being on your feet and roaming around. And it just reminded me that I've got to be so thankful. And I just at that moment, I just saw that mom and I was like, it kind of makes you realize what your parents would have gone through also at that moment. And I was just thankful at that moment, thankful for my life in general. However it is, wherever I am today, I think it's God's benevolence and my parents' blessings. And overall, it just makes me feel very thankful, very, very thankful. And to see the little joy in people's face, that they have survived or you could play a part. I think that also makes me feel very grateful from within. And I know they say that statement that doctors are like gods, and I was like, no, we're not. There's just one. He decides life, death, whatever. If you want, whether you want to believe in God or higher consciousness, whatever it is out there, whatever you believe in. I just feel we are the medium through which, since they say God can't be anywhere, we are just a medium over there trying to do our bit to help people survive. But again, that's not in our hands at the end of the day.
So true.
We do our best.
So
So I
true.
don't
So
like the
true.
statement that, oh, ab Bhagwan, no, nahi, hum Bhagwan nahi hai. We're just mere human beings, probably chosen by him to be in this field and to come in front of you and do our bit and hopefully make a difference in your life and hopefully help you survive, whatever you're going through. But yeah, that's about it.
So with every question, every segment, my respect is, going like this. Huh? By the end of the day, I'll have to do this. Good, good, very nice. So nicely put, and that also brings me to my next question. For our listeners and viewers, if I have to tell you that in India, Nikita comes from a state and a city which has got probably the biggest numbers of people who are ailing. So, how challenging. I don't know how many times I've used this word, so let me put it, how difficult are the times for the entire fraternity, for the doctors who are there, out there, round the clock, and, I don't want to bring the numbers here, but yes, a lot of them actually goes higher, have sacrificed, their lives. So how does it affect? Does it affect your morale? And if at all, how you all are, just going? Is it that oath that you took, or is it the the agony and the plight of people that you see around, eggs you to go and deliver each day? How is it? We would want to hear it from, a kind of first-hand account, if you can give us.
So it's honestly the one word that I would use right now is overwhelming. We
Okay.
are overwhelmed, we are overworked, we are overstressed,
Mm-hmm.
over everything, all the possible emotions right now. So it's, at the end of the day, when you
Mm-hmm.
come back, you're just like, God, when is it going to end?
Mm-hmm.
Because we are overworked right now, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just very overwhelming. So presently, I'm not working in the COVID side. I'm working in the non-COVID ICU. But a month back, I was in the COVID hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, it's firstly the biggest challenge is working in that entire kit. It's not easy.
Mm-hmm. That
While we have to,
PPE.
yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
PPE, yeah, the personal protective equipment,
Mm-hmm.
it's not fun. Trust me. I mean, there are times you're literally suffocating from within.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're in that kit, you can't eat, you
Hmm.
can't drink water, you can't go to pee, you can't do anything. You're
And
in that kit from.
how many layers do you wear? I saw a video floating. Probably was 5 layers and 3 layers of gloves and 3 layers of
Yeah,
masks and 2 layers or 3 layers of suits. How many layers? Oh, that's very interesting. Do tell us that.
yeah. So the first thing we change into the hospital scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes the kit. We have a shoe cover. Then we
Mm-hmm.
have the entire body cover.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some of the body cover comes with the head cover on top, or you have a head cover separately.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's your N95 mask, of course.
Mm-hmm.
There's the glass, the cover, the glass that comes
Mm-hmm.
over. And sorry, before the headgear goes on, we just wear even a cap, like, to
Mm-hmm.
cover our hair, and then the headgear
Mm-hmm.
comes on.
Mm-hmm.
We also put we double mask ourselves up. So apart from the N95, usually, if the N95 is sealed off well, if you really put the N95 well, properly
Mm-hmm.
sealed off, you really don't need another mask on top. But any which case, we just put it up, we double mask up. And then, of course, there are like 2 layers of gloves, which always goes on. And you're like covered from head to toe. And it makes breathing really difficult. Like, I do remember the
Mm-hmm.
first day when I had put it on, like, I had like a 6-hour shift, and by the
Mm-hmm.
end of the fourth hour, I started feeling dizzy. I couldn't breathe. I was feeling so dizzy, and I was like, I'm going to drop any moment, and like, you're
Mm-hmm.
sweating from head to toe, like, because the material is such that it's not even like a breathable material, and it's a nightmare, to be honest. Fine, your
Mm-hmm.
body starts adjusting to it, and you kind of like, it's a kind of acclimatization that happens, but it's not fun to work. It's so many different, and then your glasses fogs up. So, if you have to do a blood draw, or
Mm-hmm.
you have to examine the patient, you're literally like struggling, and you can't touch anything. Once it's on, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot go and, like, because you'll contaminate that area, and it could so there's like, it's it's frustrating also, and you're like, God damn it, I can't see, I can't, what am I writing, so it's too much going on at that moment. And then suddenly you see the patient, he's gasping in front of you, he's utterly sick, and you forget yourself at that moment. You forget your worries, and you're like, I gotta fix this. I've got to fix, whatever is in front of me. What's going on? Okay, what's happening to this patient? So I think, apart from the oath, and of course, just the mere fact that you're seeing your patient really struggling in front of you. You're literally at that moment, you're high on adrenaline. You're driven by,
Mm-hmm.
like in my case, like I said, I'm driven by passion, love, compassion, and you just want to give your best out there, but you get overwhelmed towards the end of the day, because the numbers are high. The number of patients that you have to see, as it is in a place like India, we on a regular basis do see a high number of volume of patients, just regular patients. I'm saying, I'm not even saying COVID, taking non-COVID into consideration. The hospitals anyways are loaded and overworked. But now with the whole COVID thing adding on to it, it's just getting way too overwhelming. Like, there are moments that, you get so utterly fatigued out. Like, it just to get up the next day in the morning, it's a
Mm-hmm.
challenge. Like, I'm like, just yesterday, I was like, God, I can't get up. I just can't wake up. I need a break. Like, but then, hey, you have to get up and get going, because your colleagues are also falling sick. Some of them are contracting the disease. They need a time off. And, like, so because of that, the stresses are coming all the more. We're getting all the more overworked because, of the leaves and all that, your colleagues have to take, because they are falling sick as well. So it's just, at this moment, it's the morals do get down. I'm not saying. And that's why, the frustration's at the peak. And then, like, sometimes you have people barking at each other, getting utterly rude. And I'm like, oh God, like, this is madness going on. But like I said, at the end of the day, it happens because it's life. It's a human life. So anything that goes wrong, it's, like I said, it impacts the life. So there's too many challenges going on at too many fronts at this moment. So it's not easy. And there are moments, I'm sure, like, not many people will show it on the face, but internally they'll be like, make it stop, it's getting too much now.
So
Like,
do you all get any days break, a week off, or how do you all are working?
so in the COVID side, so hospital to hospital, it's
Mm.
different.
Okay.
So when I was working at the dedicated COVID hospital, I had like 5 work days, 2 days off. Some
Okay.
people were working 10 days at a stretch, and also it depends, but you need to get those day off. And then once you finish the duty, you get a quarantine period. Well,
Okay.
in this hospital, I'm working at Kokila Ben.
Hmm.
So a hospital there, if I do happen to go to COVID side, I think it's a 12-hour shift.
Hmm.
So I think it's like 4 or 6 days, and then you're going to get like a 7 day, 8 day quarantine period. So that's how
Okay.
it happens. So obviously, you see now and the doctors that will go in quarantine, you need to have others to come in and fill in their place. And it's not just the COVID wards or ICUs. You still have the other part of the hospital working. You're still seeing patients, the regular patients, because other diseases have not just said, okay, let COVID take front seat, we are going to go to sleep. It's not that. You still have patients coming in with a
Very
heart
true.
attack or with a bleed in the
Very
brain,
true.
or like, so we have to deal with everything right now. So it's the numbers that's kind of
The
putting
only the
putting a
only
lot of
number
strain.
the only numbers apparently may have gone down are the road accident cases. So that's the only good sign that is happening apparently. So I mean, big salute to you all for doing all this, and uh, people who are listening to us. While we get agitated just putting our masks on. Imagine there is so much that people are doing. That's why I keep saying just follow protocol, follow, exercise some precautions. These are very little simple steps that we need to take. Okay, moving on. Tell us something about high times, or maybe a generalized high times in your career or a doctor's career. I mean, tell us both.
I don't know. I don't know about my high times and doctor's career. I don't know. I think, but for me, the biggest couple of times where I think I was overjoyed was, one is when I got into medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember the day when, like, I gave my CET, got the rank in, and when I finally got to know where I'd be going, I remember the joy and happiness on my parents' face, and just the fact that your dreams are coming true.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me that was one time where I was like absolutely overjoyed. The second is like when you finally get out of med school and like, hey, you're officially a doctor now. Like just the fact of getting that license. I think the the emotion is something else. I really cannot put words to it. It's
Okay.
just that I think for me that was a time where I was very proud, like very very proud, and just to know that you have done it all by yourself. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's always family support, their love, and they have played their part. But the sheer hard work, the sleepless nights that you have, the the crazy ups and downs that you go through, and like there were days where you feel like tearing the book off, and I'm like, oh my god, this is getting too much. But I think that day was like very special for me. Um, and now I'm still trying to, like like I said, because 3 years for me was a big challenge in my health and all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still seeing, but I think just the fact that I got out of that,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten going now. I went to the US last year, where
Oh,
at some
great.
point it was so unimaginable for me. But before that was before my health thing happened. I had an exam to give, which was for 9 hours, and I was like, I can't sit for 5 minutes, leave alone sitting for 9 hours. And
Okay.
just the fact that I could go and sit for that exam and clear it and get like a good score and all, and I was like, I think for me that also was like these were like small things. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like um, I keep any kind of goals right now that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I have to reach here, but just the mere fact that I can do something that I wasn't able to do yesterday or 3 years back, for me, that's the biggest
Mm-hmm.
highs right now for me. Like, and I just am like, happy that I can do what I'm doing.
And
So that's,
and while you're talking of this, any person, any name that comes to mind who you think is an idol, or who you look up to, or you would want people to emulate if somebody is still around.
um, I think it would be my parents,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
both my parents. I think
Mm-hmm.
I have just learned so much from them, and just by
Mm-hmm.
seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, for just the mere fact how positive she is. You throw any negative thing at her and she'll just turn it into a positive situation. I just
Mm-hmm.
love her outlook. I love the
Mm-hmm.
fact that she's so resilient. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the resilience in me comes from her.
Okay.
Like, that's what I remember. In fact, I'll tell you this. When I was studying for my CET
Mm-hmm.
to get into medicine,
Mm-hmm.
so we were having the mock test going on like a month before the main exam.
Mm-hmm.
I remember what we used to call prelims. So I remember coming home utterly dejected, and
Mm-hmm.
I told mom, I give up. I can't do this. I have
Mm-hmm.
studied. I'm putting 18 hours. I'm putting 14 hours. The marks are not coming in. I just don't know. Like while I'm getting the marks, it's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
To. I mean, I will get something or the other, but I want medicine. It's not. I'm still not crossing that barrier. And I was like, I don't know what to do, and I feel like giving up. She and it was I think around 11 o'clock at night. I'd come
Mm-hmm.
home utterly tired after the exam and very dejected. She just gave me my food. She's like, eat. And I ate just, and I was like, and I was like, I was keeping my book one side open trying to read. She just took the book out. She's like, enjoy the meal. And then I somehow ate fast. I didn't even enjoy the meal. She had, well, poor thing, I mean, my mom's a fantastic cook. So she had made I didn't even enjoy that meal. I didn't even enjoy. I don't even remember it right now. What happened that day. All I remember was once I was done, I was like, okay, give me the book. I need to study. And she was like, no. She took my books away from me. She was like, you're going to go off to sleep and we'll talk tomorrow. I was like, no. And I started crying, I was like, no, you don't understand. And I think that was the only time I got so hysterical. And then she was like, I do understand, but now's not the time. I want you to sleep. I want you to rest. Morning, I wake up and she was like, did you sleep well? And I was like, yeah, she was like, go freshen up. And I freshened up, came back. She gave me my breakfast and all. And then she was like, yo, these are your books. So she was like, I just want to tell you one thing before you open your book. Till there's breath in your body, do not give up, ever.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a chance. Till you are breathing, there's always a chance, and you're never going to give up. And I think that was the first big lesson of my life. And the resilience came from there. So
Mm-hmm.
even till date, when something, I face a challenge, I face a setbacks. And I right now, I think in the last few years, I've faced so many setbacks. I just remember that day. I was like, okay, what did she tell me? Don't give up. And that just gives me the energy to get up next morning and get going. So I think for me, I really do look up to her because she's wise.
Mm-hmm.
She is the whole happy thing that I keep saying, I get it from her. Like, she's so childlike. I like the fact that she loves to enjoy just simple things in life.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that's where I look up to her. Second is my dad. Like, I have seen him through the, over the years. I've seen him, how he's evolved as a person.
Mm-hmm.
He's also faced so many challenges and setbacks, and just the mere fact that how he got up each day and just didn't give up, you know, how he took responsibility for everything that's happening and said that I'm going to try harder, I'm going to work harder for this, not
Right.
complaining, So I I have a lot to learn from my parents, like professionally, especially professionally from my dad, and just the way to live from my mother, you know. So for me, my parents are my biggest teachers and people I absolutely look up to.
All right.
So yeah.
So, 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 in a way, it's also this show and this episode would also motivate parents, you know. So, with you idolizing them so much, and I'm sure they would love to listen to this. So, with all this around, what is your mantra, your one habit or discipline that you follow in life that keeps you going?
Wow, I wouldn't call myself disciplined, though I'm sure my
All right.
late grandfather would love that I would get disciplined. But I think the mantra, I don't have any mantra as
Okay.
such. I just try to do what I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something, I just think that if it comes from my heart, I'll do it. If not, then why stress about it? Do something you don't like, then you're complaining. So I think
Mm-hmm.
it's always about following it. Like I said in the start of your show, it's about following your heart. Right?
Okay.
For me, I think maybe if you want, you can call that my mantra. It's just like try and
Hmm.
follow my heart as much as possible. Like, and try not to get influenced by people around. Like if something my heart feels that I should do it, I'll go ahead and do it. So I think, yeah, it's just do that, be happy, because I really don't know what's going to happen next. So the fact that you're living this year, trust me, it's a very big thing. Be happy, guys.
All right. Yeah, that's a lovely one. Guys, you're breathing, you're living. Count your blessings. All right. So now tell us, with all this mm, kind of round the clock working, and then so how what is your typical chill out day or a off day, where you get your energies back, and like I said, I am eating into your rest and recuperate time. So how do you
That's
rest, recuperate, and rejuvenate to you know take this battle further, you know
So initially, pre-COVID time, it used to be like meeting my best friends, like
all
the
right.
every other weekend meeting,
Uh-huh.
catching up for dinner or
Uh-huh.
coffees. So that used to be my rejuvenate time. But now,
Wave
since of
wave
course,
cinemas,
yeah.
wave cinemas.
But now, since that's not there, I mean, it will be more like either I'll be talking to them on the phone or with like my parents, or just being in my room. And sometimes
Mm,
I'm being honest, this might sound silly, but it'll be really doing nothing. I'll just be
mm.
probably staring at the wall or just lying on my bed. And I'm like, this feels bliss for me.
Uh-huh.
But a couple of things would be watching Netflix, something on Netflix, or
Mhm.
reading a book,
Mhm.
or music is always there. Just a couple of things, and then sometimes
Okay.
like get my workouts in, like
No, that's
like
okay.
hey,
That's
yeah,
okay. I
that's
mean, as you've described yourself, a simple girl, so simple ways. That's
yeah.
lovely.
Oh, and my cup
So,
of coffee, that
okay,
helps.
okay,
My cup of coffee
okay,
helps a
great,
lot.
great. So now, all those young people who are listening to you, and a young budding doctor who's wanting to join this profession. So, what is one learning that you would want to share with them, or something which is motivating enough to follow the suit?
I think don't take life too seriously, because trust me, we are not going to get out of it anyway. We have to
Okay.
go through. See, the thing
Uh,
is, I just think that, yeah, just take each day as it comes. I know I'm repetitively saying that, but it does matter, because life is going to happen. When,
mhm,
what, how, you just don't know. So
mhm,
live live while
mhm,
you can, live in every way possible, do things that you'd want to do,
mhm,
because we are in a stressful, demanding profession. And don't say that, okay, I'll do this tomorrow, because no, you're
mhm,
never going to get the time. So if you feel like doing something, do it.
mhm,
um, Ask questions.
mhm,
um, because this I'm saying personally, because I know you're always ridiculed, and then that that kind of anxiety and fear sets in, the
mhm,
complexes sets in. Oh, if I ask this question, I'm gonna look very stupid, or like what will people think about it? No, ask questions, because it's a patient's life.
mhm,
It's okay
mhm,
if you're getting mocked at. It's okay if you're getting yelled at.
mhm,
Like recently, it so happened to me that it happened,
mhm.
like oh, like don't ask questions, and I was like, I got ticked off. But then I was like, okay, like I said, I started counting numbers. I took a deep breath, and then I just very
What happened? What happened? Let's
oh
hear
no,
it
so
out.
I yeah, so I just I was being told that, okay, tell this medication needs to be given. And I was like, the way the medicine was pronounced, I was
Huh,
like, the
uh-huh,
patient has XYZ problem, and this
huh,
medicine was not making sense. So I googled,
uh-huh,
maybe I misheard,
huh,
because I'm more used to the generic and not
huh,
the trade name. So I always
huh,
check up the trade
huh,
names, and like,
huh.
something is not fitting in right, And so
Mhm,
I just happened to ask, like, I was like, excuse me, like,
mhm,
I'm not able to, is this the, don't ask questions, just get it done. I was like, okay. And for a second, I was like, okay, breathe.
mhm,
And then in a very firm tone, I just
mhm,
said that the reason I'm asking you is because I don't want to make a mistake.
mhm,
It's going to cost the patient.
mhm,
So could you please spell it out for me?
mhm,
Because I have not got it right. Because from what I'm able to understand, it's not matching.
mhm,
So could you please spell it out? And I was very firm there. And I was like,
mhm,
it's okay. What's going to
mhm,
happen? The person is going to yell at me again. Fair enough. I don't care. I care about my patient. And yeah, and then after that, like, it was all that. I think even the opposite person realized that, oh, you know, she has a
Mm.
point, kind of. So do ask questions.
Yeah.
It might be something very silly. You might have misheard it, or like I literally made the person say, spell it out.
Mm.
Sounds stupid, but I made a word. Anyone
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like, you're a doctor and you don't know this much? Like, what the hell? No, I don't know. I don't know. Because at the end of the day, we are in a profession, please understand. You don't know it all. You're going to keep learning with each and every day, you're going to learn something. You're never going to,
Absolutely.
medicine is so vast that somehow it's just understood that you need to know it all. No, you're not going to know it all. There are going to be times that I have forgotten something basic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay. You don't need to be embarrassed about it. You can
Mm.
always be like, I'll get back to you. I'm going to read up on it and get back to you. And that's something I need to tell young doctors because
Mm.
it's frightening.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I have seen, because I have gone through my fair share of like, I think I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
ask this, I look silly and all that. But I think this is where US changed me,
Mm-hmm.
where you are encouraged ask
Mm.
questions, and I got into the habit of that. And even if it's something very silly, it's okay. I mean, what's going to happen? If
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
you will learn. And if somewhere in the crowd someone didn't know, it will just kind of, help others as well. Because
Absolutely.
there's such vast information you got to keep in mind.
Mm.
You're not going to, so it's kind of a revision. Think of it that way, so
Very true.
just ask questions, no matter how silly it is. It's okay. And
And
like I said, just take each day as it comes.
and
Don't
what
get overwhelmed.
what I'm reading into this is also what one of my guests came on the show and said that he doesn't mind if people don't like him, but he would want them to respect him. And
Yes.
certainly, it may not happen once, but yes, when you make that a practice, people would certainly see what your intents are, what the energies are.
Yep.
And also, when you're putting it across, if you put it across in the right fashion, sooner or later, people know that.
Yeah.
So great
Absolutely.
learning there. And once again, I would, like to thank you again for coming on the show. It's an honor. It's a privilege. And before we go, I would want to, on behalf of so many people, acknowledge the excellent work that you're doing and wish you well for all your future endeavors. And I am not going to ask you a question, what next and 5 years hence. So I believe live, people live. You've gotten today, live. So that's very
Yep.
nice. But yes, would you like to tell our viewers where they can find you, or if they have to contact you, where can they go and look up?
So I'm there on Facebook.
All
Just
right.
Google. I mean, you can find me on Facebook
All
and
right.
just type in my spelling correctly because
All right.
I'm Nikita with an E and not with an
Uh,
I.
okay.
I'm there
It's
on Instagram.
okay.
And yeah, actually, usually these are the two handles that I'm usually there on. I'm not. I'm not extremely active on social media, but if you have to find me, then yeah, this is the two places you can find me.
Great.
Shoot me any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Great. So you all know where to find Niketa. Uh, if you can't, pronounce it properly, to remember the name, this is the way. And I'm very sure, you all would have enjoyed this talk and drawn some meaning there. It was an interesting one, and like I said, we're not only seeing a doctor, we're also seeing a philosopher there. So there's so many takeaways today, and starting from what you believe, what your mindset is, what your approach is, what your attitude is. Life is all about that. And don't forget, count your blessings. There's so much to be thankful for. There's so much. And each day brings you so much. And fact that you're living today itself is a great boon. So yes, with this we come to an end of a very interesting episode, and we would want to bring such guests, such interesting guests in other episodes too. And so do go and subscribe, press that button and the bell icon. Do that to encourage us also. So while we take a break again till we meet you, do keep safe, observe all the precautions, stay fit, eat good, stay healthy, and that is what is going to see us through. Do keep looking after people around you. And once again, follow the protocol. Do follow the protocol. So, with that, it's time to say bye bye. This is your host, Wing Commander Satyendra Chauhan, aka Winko Chow, an air veteran, a resident lifestyle strategy coach from Bangalore, India, and Dr. Niketa from Mumbai, India, saying bye bye, adios, take care, stay happy, stay peaceful, and keep living.
And one more
Or,
thing,
and yes, you go ahead
keep
and tell me.
smiling.
Keep
Keep
smiling.
smiling.
Yes,
A smile
yes,
has a huge. It's very it's very powerful. Trust me.
yes.
Just smile.
And the moment you feel that, that smile is eluding, tune in to Happiness How with Winko Chow. Bye bye. Take care. God bless.